Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is David Novak. I feel pretty lucky when something that you read seems to resonate with real life. So I recently read The Tale of the Heike, which portrayed the decline of a regime, the fall of a particular clan, the Heike, and its replacement by another. So a real sea change in the domestic political situation of the time. And it resonated, of course, with what we have transpiring in the United States. Before that, I was reading the Jungle Cycle by B. Traven, which dealt with life under autocracy, so to speak, and the capitalist exploitation which would hold up such a system. So that was also very interesting. I have just started Our Twisted Hero by Munyol. And it says it's a novel, but it's really only about 100 pages, and I am enjoying it quite a bit so far. I had read previously the first paragraph. This was something of a tag video, I think. I don't remember which it was, but I'll see if I can link it in the description box. It's been nearly 30 years already, but whenever I look back on that lonely, difficult fight, which continued from the spring of that year through the fall, I become as desolate and gloomy as I was at the time. Somehow in our lives, we seem to get into fights like this all the time. And perhaps I get this feeling because to this day, I've never really extricated myself from that one. Somehow it's really bothering me today. So the story, it's a story of a school child, and his father is demoted in his job, so he is relocated from Seoul, the capital city, to the countryside. And the new school is very different to the old school. The classroom in Seoul was much more congenial, much more civilized, if you will, much more well-mannered, that kind of thing. And when he gets to his new school, he has an encounter with the classroom monitor, to whom everybody in the class defers obsequiously. And it's quite a jolt to him. When I came home from school that day, I began again to examine carefully this new order and environment. A certain mental paralysis, the result of being thrown suddenly into a very strange school environment, and a feeling of being threatened by the rigidity of this new order, which now suddenly was weighing down on me, filled my head with a kind of fog. Everything was so fuzzy that I couldn't think. Although at 12 it's still easy enough to treat everything with the innocence of a child, I had the feeling I wouldn't be able to transfer into this new order and environment. What had happened violated completely the principles of reason and freedom by which I had been reared all my life. I had not yet experienced directly the full brunt of Sakde's order, but I had more than a vague presentiment of the irrationality and violence I would have to endure after accepting it. It all seemed like a horrible, prearranged plan that was destined to become reality. However, the prospect of fighting was dreary beyond belief. Where would I begin? Who would I have to fight, and how would the fight be conducted? It was all so daunting. It was clear that there was something wrong, that there was enormous injustice in a system founded on irrationality and violence. But it was too much to expect me at that time to have either a concrete understanding or a concrete response. To tell the truth, even today at 40, I don't have the complete confidence needed to handle this sort of thing. So it really resonates with the sort of situation in which we find ourselves, where an autocracy is attempting to foist itself upon our body politic. And indeed, over the weekend, our Constitution was effectively revoked. But I've thought about it a little bit. It's something to keep working against, I think, this implementation of autocracy. I don't know my history very well, but I seem to recall that Athens, ancient Athens, went through its phase with the 30 tyrants where they took over, and at some point they were ejected, kicked out, and things went back somewhat to how they had been. And so when I look at our situation, it seems to me entirely possible. My understanding is if 3.5% of the entire population just goes out onto the street and mobilizes and stays there, the regime, the dictatorship will fall. And so I am hoping for the best for my country. I mean, it's undeniable that we do have many good people. And so then it would become a question of what happens with these bad people, which is obviously anybody affiliated with the Republican Party, those who voted for Donald Trump, those who are working for him, etc. Nobody who voted for Donald Trump was a good person. And so somewhat along the lines of what happened after the Civil War, one would think with a restoration of democracy, those people would have to be prohibited from holding office. I don't know how all of this could happen. And at this point, it's probably pretty hard to see any sort of dramatic reversal of fortunes at this time. But it's something to keep hoping for. It behooves one not to become despondent and to keep working for the good. So I just thought I would share that little passage. The one thing that I do like about literature, it always gives you another perspective with which to approach situations that you may well encounter in your own life. Thank you for stopping by my channel.